So today I was blessed to meet with JP, the chairman of the advisory board for Fundsz. So those of you who don't know what Fundsz is, I've done a little bit of a review of them, so I'll link that in the description if you want to check it out. I'm not going to go into full detail, do like a crazy presentation of what Fundsz is. However, today I had the opportunity to meet with JP himself on a Zoom call. I had a bunch of questions lined up. Those of you who are in my team or in my groups, I actually asked you a little bit of maybe what you would like answers on. So I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to transition over to that interview with JP. Before that though, I just want to let you guys know how blessed we are in this day and age where there's legit stuff out there. And again, I'm not giving guarantees, and I'll be doing disclaimers here in the next bit when I go to that Zoom call, but there are so many scams out there, and on the flip side, there are some really good things as well. And the main reason why I did this whole channel of mine, Jamzy's Adventure, was to capture the good and the bad and hopefully come out ahead with more good than the bad ones in the batch, and document that and talk about that. Because I remember years ago when I was searching for something, having somebody that I can relate to and lean on a little bit. And you know, I'm not a financial or professional advisor or anything of that matter, but being able to participate and learn from my mistakes and keep going on forward, failing forward even, is something that I hold dear and appreciate. I appreciate you guys, and hopefully you appreciate this interview with JP. So before that, if you guys end up being interested, and I'm not soliciting any kind of investment here, but if you do at your own discretion, please get back to whoever shared this video with you, okay? If that's me, my links will be in the description. I've got other things in there as well. If you guys want to reach out to me, check out my channels, feel free to do that. But I hope you enjoy this interview with JP. Got some good stuff, all right? Got some gold nuggets in here, so pay attention. Hopefully you have a place where you can just sit down and listen and watch. And hey, guess what? You can even watch the playback speed at like 1.5 or 2.0. You know, if you don't have as much time, you want to get through it faster, then that's an ability, an option with YouTube. So thank you, YouTube. Thank you, all of you, and enjoy. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today I have a special guest, JP, and he is the chairman of the advisory board for Fundsz. Now, Fundsz, I've actually, before this this call here, this interview, I was just checking to see when I started with them. Me personally, it was the end of May, and I'm just looking today's date, you know, September 16th, and correct me if I'm wrong, JP, but you guys initially started this in November, right? Like the official...
November 2021 was the official Fundsz start date. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. Man, come a long way, almost a year from that. And I've been in it since May, and crazy. So really blessed to have JP. He reached out to me, and I just thought, hey, you know what, it's been a while since I've done an update with Fundsz, but they have been performing extremely well week after week. So what better than to do an actual interview with the chairman of the advisory board. So I've got JP here with me, and I've got a bunch of questions, and hopefully this interview, this video in general, is helpful for you guys. So before I get into the questions, I just want to disclaim here, everything here is not professional or financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. There's no solicitation to invest here, and so anything you guys end up doing is at your own discretion. So be smart with whatever decision you end up doing, and of course never use money that you can't afford to lose. So now that we got that out of the way, JP, the first question I actually wanted to ask you is, what led you to be the chairman of the board for Fundsz?
Right. So thanks for having me today. I appreciate the invitation. So I've been wanting to get into crypto for quite some time, and I just never really got into it. So I guess the risk aversion and the lack of having someone to teach me kind of like held me back a little bit until I came across the founder, and he approached me about this project, and I really liked the platform and what he had to offer. So, it was a different approach, and he was willing to teach me about crypto, and I've always liked to help people. So through this platform, this project, I thought it was a perfect combination of learning something new, helping people, and growing my money, my crypto assets. So it was perfect for me.
Awesome. And that's actually, just to clarify, the founder that you got introduced to, that's different than the advisory board, right?
No, he's in the advisory board. So this is a decentralized platform. So that means that no one person owns it or governs it. That's why, we make decisions as a group.
Mhm.
So, that the advisory board is what, the group of people that leads this community.
Mhm.
And, a lot of people are not familiar with decentralized, and I usually explain it as, think of a co-op,
Mhm.
when farmers get together.
Yeah.
It's a very similar concept. So there's not a one CEO, one owner. We're all in this together. We all own funds, so to speak.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think this is the first platform that I've dealt with personally where it's like, it's an advisory board. You kind of all hold each other accountable, right? In that sense.
Yes.
Do you guys ever butt heads? Are there any disagreements?
We have some healthy discussions. I mean, some of us are more passionate than others about certain, subjects. But
Yeah.
it's at the end of the day, we meet weekly, and we come out in an agreement, because that's the beauty of it. We all have different backgrounds, and
Mhm.
what that does is that it gives you diversity of thought.
Yeah.
So you're trying to anticipate things, and ultimately, we're stewards of the community, and we're trying to do the best, make the best decisions, and that will ensure the longevity, the stability of this community.
Awesome. No, I love it. Thank you for explaining that a bit. I
Yeah.
did also want to ask, and I think you touched on it a little bit, but like the overall, why? So why Fundsz? Why back in November? I mean, obviously it's mid-September now, but what was the overall, why, the reason behind this whole project?
So the original community members have been working together with the same developers for nearly 6 years now. So they started this project, or a similar project 6 years ago, and they developed this software, which is the same software that we're using today, basically. The main difference was that they were using fiat money back then, and there were other perks. So that was the beginning of Fundsz. And they got together with a vision because they wanted to basically let people around the world to participate in a platform where they could earn recurring passive income and help their families and their communities. So that's something that makes us different from other platforms, is that we have this community sense, and we're really trying to help friends and family. In fact, one of the benefits that comes with the membership, and I often talk about it because I think it's underutilized, is the marketplace listings. Yes, so the marketplace is in the back office. It's built in, and it's included with your membership. So you can advertise products or services that you might be promoting, and also you can raise funds for your cause. You're trying to donate money for some orphanage in Africa, which by the way, we do have a pastor in Africa who does exactly that, then he does it through the marketplace. So it's all in crypto. So anywhere, anybody around the world can send him money instantly through the blockchain. So it's really a powerful tool. So that's a little bit of how Fundsz came about. That's a tangible way we are helping other people and around the world, communities, families, etc.
That's awesome. So it's like a GoFundMe essentially, like equivalent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but in crypto, which
In
I don't
crypto.
think there's anything like that out there.
Yeah. That's I need to check that out more. So when you were talking about like promoting products or whatever, like if I was doing a YouTube video, would that be something relevant that I could put on there, or do you only allow, like, would that not fit the category?
Well, you would be, it would not fit the category. So the only thing we cross recruit. So if they're already there because of Fundsz, then, but if it's another opportunity, why not? So so in the future, actually, that's one thing we're going to start doing, is that we're going to start offering premium ads, which will also generate another source of revenue for Fundsz. So we're always looking for that, because the more revenue streams we have, the more healthy the ecosystem is, and ensures longevity. So
no, that's awesome. I really love that feature. So thanks for talking about that. Let me ask you, I think this is more a little bit personal, but in regards, so we're talking about Fundsz here. For you yourself though, have you ever headed or participated in projects that have failed? If so, what have you learned from that coming to Fundsz?
I have personally not participated in any other projects that have failed, but I do talk to a lot of our community members, and I have heard stories, from those platforms that folded. So, it is sad. I don't like hearing those stories, but it is important that we all learn from those. And I'm glad you asked the question, because when people ask about Fundsz and what about the longevity, the sustainability, the stability, the legitimacy even of your platform, I always, go back to those stories from those people, right, that came to Fundsz looking a safe refuge, if you will, in a space where there's a lot of scams, unfortunately. There are certain things to look for. And some of the common things they all have is, number one, they promise high yields, high returns. Some even say it daily, right? 3-5% daily. They even guaranteed some of them, which that right there, it's a big red flag. And then, if there are no membership fees, to me, that's also another red flag, because, I'm involved in the operational side of making all of this happen. And, running a business has operational costs, For us, we have to pay for state-of-the-art security features, servers, and things of that nature. And that, takes up resources. So we have to cover that. That's the importance of having, this membership, which is, it also allows us to make sure that we're, nobody's recycling funds like other places do. So those are some things that I always teach people to look for, so then they do their due diligence, because this is important. And, also the rule of thumb, and when you're starting something new, is like, start with something you feel comfortable with, because there are no guarantees, even though we've been doing very well, we average about 3% every week. There is a possibility, that the market or, things might not do well one week. And so we're very upfront and transparent about it. So, don't pull all the equity of your house or your 401k and put it right in there. Baby steps, check it out for a month and see how it does. So
Yeah.
when we explain those things to people, they feel more comfortable.
Hmm.
Um, this is not a get rich quick type of scenario, which there are plenty of those out there, and you know, kudos to them if it works, but most likely they're going to fold. So we do have a responsibility, even though we're not financial advisors, and that's always my disclaimer.
Hmm.
Like you have your disclaimers in your
Yeah.
videos, right? But we have the responsibility of passing along some financial literacy to
Yeah.
our members and our prospects, and that's how we try to do.
Yeah. No, I mean, like you said, I try and preach, that same um, concept or, idea of, I mean, if I look back, because I feel a lot of the time people will come in here because they see some crazy gains, and I'm backtracking a little bit of all that you said, but man, if I'm just considering, compounding, how powerful compounding is, and this goes on for years and years, those are some crazy numbers, that can potentially bear fruit. So a lot of people get suckered in, and even myself, I've been involved in lots of higher risk platforms that have imploded, and it's not fun. But then you find stuff like what you guys are doing, Fundsz, and it's definitely a breath of fresh air where I don't have, like, I could be gone for a month and then I check in on with you guys, and oh great, things are still kicking, not that I doubted, but all right, I'll see you guys in another month going on a vacation. That's the kind of approach I take with you guys. So we're talking a little bit about risk here, and what I usually do with those who follow me, what I try to do is give my own personal assessment of, here's how risky I think a project is, and it's just a very simple low, medium, or high, given there are no guarantees like we've talked about, and all of those things. But since you are a chairman of the advisory board, you see a lot more going on. Where would you plant Fundsz, and why, when it comes to the risk level?
That's a great question, and I think well, I'll try to answer it the best way I know. So you asked me if I participating in other platforms, and I said no, because my level of risk aversion is lower than some other people. Okay. I'm very conservative, actually. And so let's start with that. And I always, risk can be measured on different scales. They have ratios for this. All the stock guys have stuff. You can get crazy, but low, medium, and high, I would say you're always going to have at least some level of risk. Okay. So I would start from medium and high. So I would consider it to be right there in the middle, because, and I'm going to back this up with substance. I'm not just saying it. Okay.
Yeah.
So testimonials are extremely important, and we have testimonials from members who have been in our community since the very inception, and I'm talking about November 2021, but also going back to the very beginning when we were under a different name, we were taking fiat money. And those people can attest to this, which is that we've never missed a payment. So number one, that's very rare in this space. I think very few platforms can say that. Number one, we do have proof of payments, right? Which is also something that not a lot of platforms do. Number three, we have a very visible advisory board. These are people that are real. They're not paid actors or anything like that. I've heard those crazy other platforms. So you're laughing. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh,
so they're visible. They're engaged. They're approachable. They're available. And so these folks are real. And also, some of the things that, again, I talked to so many people, and there's probably one other platform out there that could be considered as safe as we are. And one of the things that got my attention was that some influencers, big, team builders like yourself, they tell me Well, we try to withdraw all the gains from other places that we feel are not going to be around for a while, and we come to Fundsz. Fundsz is our home.
Yeah.
We feel safe there. That to me right there says it all. And I make myself available to always have coffee or break bread with someone. So because I think knowing who's behind the project also gives you a comfort level. So I'm listing all these things because I think they're pertinent to the risk.
Yeah.
And it talks directly about that, because I have these conversations on a daily basis with people who are trying to come, and they want to make sure they're going to be okay, that they're going to be able to withdraw their funds, that we're going to be around, because unfortunately they've had bad experiences. So hopefully that answers your question. And it could be a little subjective, but that's my answer.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I mean, like you said, everyone's going to have a little bit different risk measurement. What I might deem low, medium, or high might be a little bit different than yours, but I really do appreciate your own honesty. But then, just talking more, just about why you think Fundsz is at the place that you say it is. And what was I gonna say? Oh, I was gonna say that I probably wouldn't be here at all if it wasn't because of the connections, not me personally, but someone else that I got to know that knows Brian. I think Brian is his name, right? One of the board members.
Brian Early.
Yeah. So that's mainly why I got in. I started to just connect that, hey, you know what? It looks like the ones that are legit and really run and do what they say they're doing, there's some kind of connection. Because I've been involved with other things where there's a face, there's a name, but like you said, paid actor, and nobody really knows that person, but hey, they're doing a call, a live call, so people like that. But when I can have a connection, like an actual connection, these people are real, that just makes it so much different and on another level. So thank you. I appreciate your response. I did want to talk, we've talked previously about the average return. So and I feel like this is a lot of times, people come and they say, okay, this is what I want to hear and talk about. But other things are important, like we've discussed. Everything that we've talked about previously are all pieces of the pie. But when it comes to the weekly returns, because it is a weekly return, right? And I've been in this since May, so end of May, and I have been seeing you guys give a performance report in your back office. Yeah, I think a monthly report. You do an overall monthly, but you guys have a Telegram channel, and so you'll post weekly reports there. But I have been seeing on average around 3%. Given there's no guarantees, I'm not guaranteeing anything. This is all off of historical past data. But I wanted to talk more about that because a lot of people will come in and they'll say, well, how are you doing that? Because even then, right, 3% a week is insane. I'm in the US, you're in the US. If we're looking at the 401k, that's like 10 to 12% a year on average. Probably worse right now based off the economy. So can you talk about that averaging 3%? Like, how are you guys doing that?
Sure. No, that's a great question. We get it all the time, and we address it, by the way, in all our Zoom calls. But we have different sustainable revenue sources, right? And like we say, we share in the profits of billion-dollar industry. So the first one would be the cryptocurrency industry, which it's great that we're in it, but we don't solely rely on that industry, right? So there are things that we do. We have a proprietary algorithm that allow us to basically grab assets from this liquidity pool and do certain things with it. Some weeks we do things in the cryptocurrency industry. Some weeks we may go to the precious metals pool. So that's first and foremost, okay? And then secondly, we also participate in another multi-billion industry, which is the subscription industry. Everything is driven to subscription. One example is Tesla. Tesla used to sell the option of the autopilot, but now you can subscribe to it. So they changed their model. So we see ourselves no different than companies like Netflix or Spotify, where clients are paying a monthly membership in exchange of a service render, right? This case, like I explained earlier, it takes money to make money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the membership fees help us also um, take care of some of the operational costs, but it will also cover the what we call the 4x8 team network bonuses. So remember, the way the 8 different ways to earn money or rewards here at Fundsz,
Mm-hmm.
they're divided in 2 main buckets. One is the passive income component, the staking, which we talked about, the liquidity pool,
Yeah.
and then the 4x8 team network, right? Or if you're a
Yeah.
team builder and you earn commissions through referrals, then all of those are being basically backed by the membership fees that we collect every month. So we have about 5,000 members. Uh, they either pay $10 or $30, and you can do the math. That's a pretty good, healthy injection of cash every month, and it help us secure those commissions, right?
Yeah.
And then also we participate in the e-commerce. We were talking about how people go in the marketplace, they can advertise, get paid for it. We'll have the premium ads here coming soon. So, and we also have a swag and apparel store, which, we don't manage any of that. It's just a pass-through charge. This company manages all of that but we make some money there too.
Yeah.
So all of these things combined help support the ecosystem and helps us ensure the longevity of this project. So this is a very important thing to understand, and I love to explain it so people also get this comfort level
Yeah.
about our project, right?
Okay. So let me break that down a bit and ask you some questions from what you've talked about. And I think this is important when we're talking about, so those who are building a team or sharing this with others, those payouts come from these subscriptions, right? That we're all paying monthly. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes.
And I think that's very important for people to know. And I'm sure that's only a small majority of people that are really, sharing this, which I feel, is definitely this is why I do what I do, because there's so many great opportunities, and I have the ability to at least share my experiences and stuff. And hopefully those who are looking in the same area and space, maybe it helps them, given, there are rough patches along the road and hills to climb. But if you stick with it, I mean, I've been at this for 5 years, and finally at a place where I can just sit back and close my eyes a bit and relax. But it's important for people to know that difference of, they're not, it's not just, money coming from thin air that's being paid for that. So it's actually being backed by something. So that is awesome. Thank you for going through that one. Now, I mentioned previously there is a monthly report that you guys come out with, and I remember when I first came in, and I asked, kind of what you guys' plans are when it comes to, and I don't know if it's even possible with how you guys are producing revenue and all of that on your end, but when it comes to more transparency, is that possible, instead of a monthly report, to kind of have a little bit more eyes view or a bird's view on how those profits are being generated?
I mean, yes, we do have a commitment to transparency, but there's also, that's what we consider the secret recipe
Mm-hmm.
for our sauce, right? So there's so much we share. I mean, one thing we do is the proof of payments, which is
Yeah.
available. But as far as ledgers or things like that, we don't feel like sharing those at this point is in the best interest of Fundsz.
Okay. And that makes sense. I mean, in regards of keeping things proprietary. And I mainly ask because I don't know with what you guys do if there's any um, transparency around if there's like blockchain confirmations of trading happening, or any kind of statements from another third party that would be possible, to put out, say, hey, we know our system's proprietary, but we want to at least, show as much as we can while still protecting that. So I just wasn't sure if in the future, if you guys had something lined up.
we have no plans to do that. Maybe in the future things could change about it, but we'll keep it the
Okay.
way it is. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And right now it's a monthly report. So you can go in, for those watching this, you can go in and check out the monthly report in the back office. And that's what we have access to right now. So thanks, JP. I did want to transition a bit here. So when I first came in, and you guys actually recently did this, where when I initiate a stake, there was a 90-day vesting period, right? And then after 90 days, I can withdraw everything if I wanted to. And then you guys recently moved that to 180 days. So can you just talk a little bit about that adjustment change, the move behind that, or the idea?
Certainly, yes. We put a press release where we explain that move, and it had to do with the loophole we found in our comp plan that a couple of individuals were trying to exploit to their advantage and to the detriment of the many other thousands of members. So we had to make that adjustment. So if you staked before September 1st, everything stays the same, but all stakes started after September 1st will have a vesting period of 180 days. Those funds will be locked for 180 days. However, you could, after the 91st day, just to your funds in exchange for a 15% fee.
Okay. So those who get in September 1st and onward, after 90 days, you can withdraw everything with a 15% fee, or wait the full 180 days, and there's no fee at that point if you want to withdraw everything.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And I do have to say, we have some metrics on marketing on the people, our clients, our community, and I do have to say the community actually reacted very well, understood what we were doing, and one thing we found out is that when we take polls, and try to get some metrics on who comes to Fundsz and why, is that a lot of people are building a retirement fund, which is also a testament to the longevity of our project and how they see that, that we are going to be around for a while. So these are folks that are projecting 2-3 years. They're trying to compound their stake and then have a sizable, amount of money. So that's the reason behind it.
Yeah. Okay. And I didn't even know that was the main reason. So it's nice to hear you guys talk about the reasoning behind that, and just looking out for, the longevity of this. Like you said, I feel, and I have a lot of good friends who, in short, wealthy, and they've got lots of money, but it's because they look for things that, number one for them is preservation of capital. And so to see you guys really looking out and just saying, hey, the longevity of what's happening here, that's your main goal. It's awesome to see that. And yeah, even for myself, I've been in this over 90 days, but this isn't a get quick rich, right? I'm still going, and using that passive income to help in whatever I'm doing in my own adventure. So I love that. Thank you for explaining that a little bit more. Now, a couple last questions here. We'll wrap up if there's anything else you want to bring up. But as we're talking about the longevity of Fundsz, and I feel a lot of people ask this the wrong way, whereas they're saying, how long are you going to be? Which is such a horrible, when are you going to close up shop? Such a horrible question, because I say whatever and it's just a bad question. So instead, I want to ask you what series of events would need to happen for Fundsz to then close up shop. So instead of just here's the death date of this project, what do you guys feel? What series of events might need to happen for things to go in the wrong direction?
Sure. Well, no, and I like that you preface it like that, because it is a bad question, because there are things that, again, no one can uh, anticipate. So what I would say is it would have to be an event that is completely out of our hands or control. And I don't like doom and gloom scenarios, but it would probably have to be something crazy with that has to do with regulation in this country. And there's a lot of speculation about that, but so far there's really not regulation right now when it comes to this space, which it's a blessing and a curse, because blessing that it creates opportunity, right? A lot of great opportunity, but curse in the sense that if the wrong people come in trying to, take advantage of folks, they perhaps could get away with it a little bit more easily than in a regulated space. So again, we've been doing this for 5-6 years now. The plan is to be here for a long term. And again, it'll have to be something very dramatic when it comes to regulation or something like that. But so far, we don't expect anything.
That's a good response there. So I guess a follow-up question is, have you guys kind of sat down as a board and said, hey, if things get to this point, like here's plan B of how we can tackle, if let's say regulation ends up being a really big block in front of you guys, have you ever, do you have things in place, or how to approach that?
Certainly. We have, we meet every week with the advisory board and we discuss things like that. Definitely contingency plans, they're there. And, we are very transparent. So much so that you mentioned something earlier, I've been in leadership positions in corporate USA. And one thing I've learned is that when you make a call, when you make a decision, sometimes it's a healthy practice to explain why we made that decision. So that people not wondering, hey, there's no room for speculation. And especially in this space where we know that usually the beginning of the end of this, some projects out there started with some sort of scheme where people can withdraw their money. So I know that makes people nervous. So it's imperative that we explain this thing. So we always have that commitment of transparency, and we were very upfront as of why, right? We explain about it, and then some updates with the comp plan, the same thing. So going back to the question, yes, we discuss these things, and we have been tested. Cryptocurrency is a very fluid space where one of the things that it's really setting us apart, and I want to explain this, is to have an in-house development team. Okay, we have programmers that develop the software, so we're not dependent on a third-party vendor. And that also applies to the payment processing, which as you well know, Jamsey, we just updated that, and we're now tied directly to the blockchain, which that is a huge achievement. We were in the past working with a company called Coin Payments, and they were a third-party vendor that was processing all our transactions. They were the ones connecting us to the blockchain, and they were great. But one day they decided to pull out of the US market, and it was overnight. They gave us no warning. So within 24 hours, our team of developers worked and implemented and deployed a successful solution. So it was a little bit of a manual process, but it kept us basically open. We were doing business. So that taught us a big lesson right there. So, but while it was I guess a blessing in disguise, because it pushed us and it made us understand that, if you have control in-house, then we can assure the longevity and the platform is going to work the way it's supposed to, right? So those are things that I want people to think about, because when you do your due diligence to bring your hardly, the assets, the money that you work so hard to earn throughout your career or your life, You must make these questions. This is again, the research that you need to do. And then also wanted to mention that even though we're in a very digital space, in 2022, we have all these advancements. It's interesting to see that at the end of the day, it's a small world. Like some of your colleagues on YouTube, it's a small community. You guys know each other, you talk to each other, and you do your research, right? You check with one another. Hey, what about this one and this one? I don't know. So when I saw that, it confirms that you have to have this level of transparency, visibility. If you don't have anything to hide, we're out here. My name is on Facebook, like you mentioned in one of your videos. And every time I have an opportunity, I sit down with people like you, so you have an opportunity to ask all the questions that your team members are asking you, so then you can relay the same information. So I think when it comes to that, we're very, very different than the rest. And that's why we're here and people feel comfortable coming to our community. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk like this, because this is important.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I'm glad you brought up the in-house. I was actually going to ask you, because I remembered, that situation. So I wanted to get that in here and have you talk about it, because that is important. And it just shows, you guys are serious, you mean business. Coin payments is huge. And to have that happen, I remember, especially when that hit the news, I was thinking, oh man, all of these things that I'm involved with are using coin payments. So I wonder how they're going to react. So you guys reacted beautifully. So kudos to you and the dev team. The last question, JP, I want to ask, and I feel like you've been talking a little bit about this, throughout this whole interview, is just the long-term vision and goals for Fundsz. So where do you see this goal-wise, long-term wise, especially being on the board? Go ahead. Yeah, what do you think there?
Sure. So our goal, remember, we're still on pre-launch stage, right? So our goal is to officially launch when we reach between 7,500 to 10,000 members. And we believe we're going to be there towards the end of this year or early 2023. So I think when we get to that point, we're really going to start growing probably at the pace of 100 members a day. Wow. So I would expect that we're going to get close to 50,000 members. North of that, that's our goal. So we're going to always keep an eye on future revenues, sources of revenue, to ensure the longevity of the project. And we're always looking at making sure that we enhance the security of our, of the accounts of our members. So one thing we implemented again in-house was the 2FA, which is customizable. You can turn it on and off. We recommend to keep it on, by the way, because those guys, they're out there and they are getting clever. You open that back door and they hack your email and they get in. So make sure you keep it on. There's an opportunity for me to reiterate this message. Keep it on for the login, for the withdrawals, and for changing the wallet address. Okay, so we're always going to be looking for the next thing, and we're attracting big teams. They're team builders all over the planet now. We have one in the UK. We have a big European team based out of the Netherlands. We're getting into some African countries. We're building in Australia and South Africa and New Zealand. And then, this is just the beginning. Think about this. Less than 1% of the world population has cryptocurrency. That means that the crypto is going to grow. The growth potential for this thing is, we still cannot even grasp, can fathom it. So the next 5 to 10 years are going to be a lot of fun. So hopefully, in this country, we'll see regulation become more friendly towards crypto. I know that one thing that's happened is that the big 4 banks are making it a little bit harder to acquire cryptocurrency with credit cards from the big 4, as I call them. So We don't see that in other countries. So I hope it is my hope that here in the U.S. the government kind of catches up with the rest of the world, because they're not going to be able to stop crypto. The sooner they realize that, the better.
Yeah.
So that's my hope, that in the future it's going to be a lot easier for someone to fund these accounts, because the crypto acquisition process is going to be a lot more streamlined. So I think next year is going to be very interesting. So I think that's kind of where the future is taking us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people, even in so US specifically, certain states that it's just super hard, like they're blocked. That state in specific is, it's out on the shelf. But then other countries as well. I talk to people in certain areas. They're like, yeah, my bank account and here in Australia, whatever, flagged this, and now I got to find another bank. I'm like, man, like, fortunately, I haven't had to go through that, but definitely, I feel we're going to get there. I mean, there's, it's gonna get there. This is a global move. So anyway, JP, thank you. I believe the future here is bright with Fundsz, and although I haven't done a ton of videos and content, like, this thing is still kicking. So I'm glad you reached out so we can talk about this. I mean, end of May is when I got in, September 16th, and we're still rolling. And that's just when I got in. Like, you've talked about how long this has been going before. As I was mentioning earlier, man, when I first got into this space, if I just would have found something solid, and again, if we're averaging 3% a week, if I do that over years, then I can be very, very well off. And people need to switch the gears in their head a bit to understand how amazing that is. And of course, this isn't the only thing I do. I talk about diversifying and how it's important, but when you can diversify into solid projects like Fundsz, and I always talk about it like chickens and eggs, right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket, but sometimes you have projects or things that you're involved with. For me, in this case, that egg becomes a chicken, and then it produces a lot more eggs. So you got to protect those chickens. Don't put all your chickens in one spot. Don't put all your eggs in one spot. Spread them out. But Fundsz definitely is in my top list for how solid I've seen things, and with what you talked about, transparency, the board member, just everything that is going on in the background. Very, very impressed. So thank you, JP. I don't know if there's anything else you want to bring up or talk about before we end this, but I'll let you.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to be here in your channel and talk to all those people out there, and just hopefully you will, if you haven't jump into the crypto movement, hopefully this is an encouragement to you. Do it. That's the future. And always try to find a mentor, someone that will show you, step by step how to do it, because it's a lot easier when you have someone who knows what they're doing, so you feel comfortable. And then hopefully if you check us out, do your due diligence, and be careful, be smart, and hopefully we'll see you at Fundsz.
Awesome. Thank you, JP. Thank you, everybody, for watching this. We will catch up later, hopefully connect, and hopefully see you at Fundsz. So thank you.
All right.